It means you need to find your own place to live. His voice softened slightly, but his resolve was clear. You need to once again experience what it's like to actually pay your own way in life. Rent, utilities, groceries, all of it.
Hey, Steve here. You know how sometimes life feels almost too good? That's where I was with Jacqueline. 2 years of what I'd call near-perfect happiness. Well, as perfect as real life gets, anyway. I was sitting in my home office one evening, looking at our most recent photo together from our weekend hike, when it really hit me. Jacqueline has this way of making everything feel lighter. You know, her smile in that picture, genuine, bright, the kind that makes her nose scrunch up a little. It's exactly what drew me to her in the first place. Hey, what you looking at? She poked her head in, her dark curls falling over her shoulder. She'd been working from the dining table again, her laptop and papers spread everywhere. Just us, I smiled, turning the frame toward her. Been thinking about some things. She walked over and perched on my desk, something she does a lot. It's these little comfortable habits that make our relationship feel so natural. We've never had those dramatic fights you see in movies. Sure, we disagree sometimes. She thinks my sock sorting system is ridiculous, and I think her way of loading the dishwasher defies physics, but we laugh about it. The thing is, I've been around the block before. My previous marriage ended amicably, thank God, but it taught me some valuable lessons about mixing love and finances. Speaking of finances, I'm doing pretty well, $120,000 a year. My condo's paid off, worth about $650,000 now, and I'm debt-free. I cover everything, utilities, groceries, maintenance, you name it. Jacqueline makes $46,000, which isn't bad, but she's got that $50,000 student loan hanging over her head. She uses my car when she needs it, and I added her to my health insurance last year. I watched her head back to the dining room, where she had her makeshift office set up. That's what got me thinking about the house thing in the first place. She deserves a proper home office, not just a corner of the dining table. The way she hunches over that table can't be good for her back. Need anything while I'm up? She called out, heading to the kitchen. Making tea. I'm good, I replied, but my mind was already racing ahead. A bigger house would be perfect for us. More space, a real office for her, maybe a garden she's been dreaming about. But here's where my past experience kicks in. We need to be smart about this. The divorce might have been amicable, but it taught me that love isn't enough when it comes to major financial decisions. You need clarity, structure. A cohabitation agreement might sound cold, but it's like an insurance policy. You hope you never need it, but you're glad it's there if you do. Looking at my banking app, I ran some numbers. I could handle the down payment, sure, but this needed to be a partnership. Fair's fair, right? But how do you have that conversation without making it sound like you're keeping score? Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, Jacqueline was telling me about her day, about some office drama with her coworker Sarah. I was only half listening, trying to figure out how to bring up the house idea without immediately jumping into the whole agreement thing. Steve? Earth to Steve. She waved her hand in front of my face, laughing. You completely zoned out on me. Sorry, just thinking about some possibilities for our future, I said, which wasn't exactly a lie. We should talk about it tomorrow, maybe? She raised an eyebrow, curious, but didn't push it. That's another thing I love about her. She knows when to give me space to process things. As I lay in bed that night, listening to her soft breathing beside me, I couldn't help but worry. How do you tell someone you love that you want to build a future together, but you also want to protect yourself? That you trust them completely, but experience has taught you to be cautious? Tomorrow's conversation could go either way. I just hope she understands that this comes from a place of love, wanting to do things right, wanting to protect both of us. Because at the end of the day, that's what real love is about, isn't it? Not just the warm, fuzzy feelings, but making smart decisions together.
Hey there, I'm Jacqueline. I was having one of those usual Monday mornings, answering emails at my makeshift desk in the dining room, when Steve came in with 2 cups of coffee. Something about him seemed different, like he was practically buzzing with excitement. Hey Jack, he said, sliding my favorite mug across the table. Got a minute? I've been thinking about something. I closed my laptop, curious. Steve's not usually the type to interrupt my work hours unless it's important. Sure, what's up? What would you think about us looking for a bigger house? His eyes were bright with enthusiasm. Something with enough space for you to have your own home office instead of camping out here at the dining table. My heart literally skipped a beat. A house? A real house? I couldn't help but beam at him. Are you serious? Like, with actual rooms and everything? Very serious, he chuckled. I've been watching you work from this table for months now, and you deserve better than this setup. Suddenly, all these possibilities started flooding my mind. Oh my God, Steve. We could have a guest room for when my sister visits. And maybe a proper kitchen. You know how cramped this one gets when we're both cooking. I jumped up and walked around the dining room, gesturing excitedly. And imagine having a backyard. We could have those Sunday brunches outside that I've always talked about. Maybe even plant some herbs? Steve seemed pleased with my reaction, sitting back and watching me with this soft smile I've grown to love. I take it you're interested then? Interested? I'm already mentally decorating. I pulled out my phone, opening Pinterest. Look, I've actually had a house ideas board for ages. Not that I was hinting or anything. We spent the next hour talking about neighborhoods, commute times, and what we both wanted in a house. Steve, being Steve, had clearly done his homework. He talked about price ranges and market trends, while I focused on the important stuff, like whether we could fit a window seat in the master bedroom. The market's actually pretty good right now, he explained, pulling up some listings on his tablet. With my savings and current property values, we could comfortably look in the $800,000 range. I was nodding along, already picturing our future home, when his tone shifted slightly. But before we get too far into this, we should talk about some practical matters. Like furniture budget? I asked, still scrolling through my Pinterest board. Because I found this amazing sectional that would be perfect for a living room. Actually, he said, clearing his throat, I was thinking more about the financial arrangement. You know, who pays what and how we protect both our interests. I looked up from my phone, not quite following. What do you mean, protect our interests? Well, he continued carefully, I think we should consider a cohabitation agreement. It's like a prenup, but for buying property together. It would spell out our contributions and rights to the house. The excitement that had been bubbling inside me fizzled a bit. An agreement? Like a contract. It's more like a safety net, he explained, reaching for my hand. It protects both of us. I learned from my divorce that these things are important, even when everything's going great. I pulled my hand back slightly, not meaning to but doing it anyway. The word divorce hung in the air between us. It feels a bit cold, doesn't it? We're talking about our home, not a business deal. Steve shifted in his chair, and I could tell he was choosing his words carefully. I know it might seem that way, but it's actually about being fair to both of us. We should discuss how we'll handle the down payment, monthly mortgage, all of that. The sunny kitchen suddenly felt a little less bright. All those warm, cozy visions of our future home started getting tangled up with words like agreement and contributions and protect. Can we maybe talk about this later? I said, closing my Pinterest app. I should really get back to work. Steve nodded, understanding as always, but I could see a hint of disappointment in his eyes. As he walked back to his office, I stared at my laptop screen, not really seeing it. The house of my dreams was right there, so close I could almost touch it, but now there was this legal thing standing in the doorway. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering to the beautiful houses I'd been imagining. Only now, they came with fine print at the bottom.
I waited until after dinner the next day to bring it up again. We were cleaning up, me washing, her drying, when I decided it was time. About the house and the agreement, I started, handing her a plate to dry. I think we should talk it through properly. Jacqueline's movement slowed, the dish towel circling the plate more times than necessary. Okay. I want to explain better why this matters to me, I said, keeping my voice gentle. It's not about trust. It's about being fair to both of us. About protecting whatever each of us puts into this house. She placed the plate in the cabinet, her back to me. When she turned around, I noticed her shoulders were tense. Protect from what, Steve? From me. No, from uncertainty. I turned off the water to focus on this conversation. Look, we'd be making a huge financial commitment together. I'd be putting in most of the down payment, and I just want to make sure everything's clear up front. Clear. Her voice had that slight tremor I'd never heard before. What's unclear about us? We've been together 2 years. We love each other. We take care of each other. Why isn't that enough? I dried my hands, choosing my words carefully. It is enough for our relationship. But a house is different. It's a business decision as much as a personal one. A business decision? She stepped back, hurt flashing across her face. Is that what you think about when you look at our future? Business decisions and contracts. Jacqueline, I try to keep my voice steady. I'm just being practical. Given our income difference, I'll be contributing more financially. That comes with bigger risks. So this is about money? Her voice rose slightly. About you having more than me? It's about being smart, I countered, feeling frustration creep in. The agreement would protect both of us. Your contributions would be secured too. My contributions? She laughed, but it wasn't her usual warm sound. What contributions, Steve? You just said you're paying for everything. That's not. I ran a hand through my hair. You're missing the point. This isn't about what you can't contribute. It's about protecting whatever you do contribute. No, you're missing the point. Now her eyes were glistening. You're reducing our relationship to numbers and percentages. Like everything we've built together means nothing unless it's written in a contract. My own voice started rising, despite my best efforts. That's not fair. I'm trying to be responsible here. To protect both our futures. Protect. She wiped at her eyes angrily. It feels more like you're protecting yourself from me. Like you're waiting for this to fail. For God's sake, I snapped, then immediately regretted my tone. This is exactly why we need to talk about this calmly. Without emotions clouding everything. Without emotions. She stared at me incredulously. We're talking about our home, our future, and you want me to be, what? Some robot calculating risk percentages. We stood there in the kitchen, the distance between us feeling wider than ever. The dishwasher hummed in the background, a mundane sound in a moment that felt anything but ordinary. Finally, I took a deep breath. This isn't getting us anywhere. Maybe we should take a break, think things through separately. Talk again tomorrow when we're both calmer. Jacqueline nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. Fine. I need time to process anyway. To understand when our relationship turned into a business arrangement. The bitterness in her voice hit me hard, but I held my ground. This was too important to sweep under the rug just because it was uncomfortable. As she walked away, I heard a small sniffle she tried to hide. I wanted to go after her, to explain again that this wasn't about trust or love. It was about being smart, about protecting both our interests. But I knew right then neither of us was in the right headspace to hear each other. Turning back to the sink, I stared at the remaining dishes. The practical side of me knew I was right about the agreement. But watching Jacqueline walk away, hurt and angry, made me wonder if being right was worth the cost. Tomorrow's conversation would be crucial. Either we'd find a way to bridge this gap between my logical approach and her emotional one, or... I didn't want to finish that thought. Not yet.
I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Steve's face, that mix of disappointment and determination I'd never seen before. When morning came, I found him already at the kitchen table, 2 untouched coffee cups in front of him. My stomach dropped. I knew that look. Sit down, Jacqueline, he said quietly. Not a request, a directive. My hands were shaking slightly as I pulled out the chair. The morning sun streamed through our kitchen window, making everything feel too bright, too exposed. I need a straight answer, Steve began, his voice level but firm. Are you willing to pay half the down payment and half of every mortgage payment for the new house? The directness of his question caught me off guard. Steve, you know I can't match your contributions. My salary. That's not what I asked. His interruption was gentle but unyielding. I asked what you're willing to contribute. I felt my defenses rising. This relationship isn't supposed to be about splitting every bill down the middle. We're partners. Okay then, he leaned forward slightly. If you can't contribute 50%, how much of the house do you think you should be entitled to if we split up? Well, half, obviously. We'd be building this life together. The look he gave me made my words trail off. Let me get this straight, he said, each word precise and measured. You want half ownership of a house you won't pay a single cent toward? You don't even contribute to our current household expenses, Jacqueline. Where does your salary go? Heat crept up my neck. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is this arrangement. Steve's voice remained steady, but his eyes were intense. I pay all the bills. I do half the housework. I cook, I clean, I maintain the house. Tell me, what extra are you bringing to this partnership? Tears pricked at my eyes. So what, my emotional support means nothing? The way I'm always there for you, the way I make this place a home. I provide emotional support too, he cut in. I'm there for you just as much as you're there for me. That's just basic relationship stuff, Jacqueline. It's not a special contribution. This isn't the 1950s. Being supportive and loving isn't a substitute for actual contribution to our household. His words hit me like a physical blow. I'd never heard him speak so bluntly before. Then he dropped the real bombshell. I've made a decision. We're not buying the house. My heart sank. Steve. I'm not finished, he continued. I think it's time we reset this relationship completely. To zero. The room started spinning slightly. What does that mean? It means you need to find your own place to live. His voice softened slightly, but his resolve was clear. You need to once again experience what it's like to actually pay your own way in life. Rent, utilities, groceries, all of it. You're kicking me out? My voice cracked. Steve, please, I'll do better. I'll contribute more. No, he shook his head. This isn't about promises. This is about understanding reality. Find an apartment. Learn to budget. Experience independence. Then, if you want, we can try building something together, as true equals. Panic rose in my chest. This is insane. We don't need to. We do, he said firmly. You need to be reminded what adult responsibility feels like. Real contribution isn't just a promise to do better. I sat there, tears flowing freely now, reality crashing down around me. Everything I'd taken for granted, our comfortable life, our future plans, even our daily routine, was dissolving in front of me. How long do I have? I finally managed to ask. Take the time you need to find a good place, he replied. I'm not throwing you out. But start looking today. I nodded numbly, too overwhelmed to argue anymore. He was right. I knew he was right, and that made it hurt even more. Okay, I whispered. We'll start over. From scratch. The kitchen clock ticked loudly in the silence that followed. Outside, life went on as normal, but in here, everything had changed. I'd lost my dream house before we'd even found it, and more importantly, I'd lost the comfortable bubble I'd been living in. Time to grow up, I guess.